Good evening. And I know that a lot of the records that Rennie has are in the books that the book they passed out, so I'm not going to really touch on that. I'm going to talk a little bit about Renard and how he got to school, what he's done with his life since he went to school here. But it's hard to believe that 40 years ago is when he showed up here as a 17-year-old freshman from Baltimore. And the first week that he was here, it rained like it did today all week. And one of the first things I remember is we didn't have baseball practice probably for another week and a half, 2 weeks is when it was officially supposed to start. And all he wanted to do was go find a way to have batting practice. And obviously we didn't have the facilities that they do now. It's a good thing because if we'd have had I understand 4 batting cages underneath the stadium back then, he probably would have just asked coach to put a dorm room or at least a cot, and that's really all he wanted to do. Renard, when he came here, was dedicated to playing baseball. He ate, drank, and slept baseball. I mean, folks, I am not kidding. That's what Renard wanted to do. He had it probably as much talent as anybody. You know, there's 4 or 5 guys here from that team, and obviously I think he's the third player from that team that gets inducted. And I do want to let you know that he was a left fielder, but he did have a little dalliance with playing third base his freshman year. I think I'm going to leave the details of that to him so he can have a little humor there that he didn't want me to steal his thunder on that one, so I'm going to leave that one for him. Another thing, and I'm going to try and go in a little bit of order of some of the crazy things that happened there. Some people don't know that he almost had a promising boxing career here. If anybody here was in school at that time, early 80s, we somehow got as a team a little, I don't want to call it a ritual, we just had a few disagreements among the team, and some guy had 2 pairs of 16-ounce sparring gloves and decided, hey, we had a couple guys trash talking at dinner one time and said, we're going to solve this with, something civilized. We're going to have a little boxing match. And we were in dorm 5, which was down on the bottom of the hill, and it had a little grass area there where people could see. The first boxing match, actually one of the boxers is right here. We were trying to settle a little dispute between 2 guys competing for third base. And we had, 3 little rounds and took off. Everybody was pretty popular. We said, hey, this is pretty cool. We decided next Friday we're going to do it again. Turned out to be like Friday night fight night. And the way the dorm was, it had a little rec area, and it had like a soda machine and everything else. So the next week, we had a couple of pitchers decided to have a little squabble. We decided we're going to do it again. Next thing we know, we get like 50, 100 people outside. Everybody's popular. So we look around one time. We say, hey, Renard, you do it. He goes, no, I want to do it. He runs off. We chase him down. We get him in the dorm. We throw him in a pair of shorts, a T-shirt, start putting on the gloves. No, you can do it. We look in the crowd. We see a football player about his size. We say, hey, you too. Come on, let's go. No, man, come on. We start the match. Next thing you know, we go in 3 rounds. Sid Bream's up on top of the soda machine to keep them away from the machine when they're boxing so they don't knock the soda machine down. About 100 people outside going crazy. These 16-ounce gloves, man, they are heavy. After about that second round, we realized it wasn't a good idea to take on these football players. These guys lifted weights all the time, man. And let's just say they ended with us dragging Renard into the shower and basically in his clothes, pulled up a stool, turned on the shower, and left him there for 15 minutes. And then somehow the following Wednesday in chapel, they were very nice to us. They didn't actually mention that it was us. They just kind of made an announcement that, it's come to our attention that we've had a little bit of horseplay on Friday nights, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. It's against the student code, and, we don't expect it to happen again. We're like, oh, they nailed us. So that was it. End of Friday night, fight night, but it was a lot of fun. And there's another story. I really do have to tell it because it's going to segue to something else. I don't know if they still do this, but at Halloween they used to have I think the only times that they let girls into the men's dorm, the guys' dorm. So we're in our dorm minding our own business, and these two girls show up, and they had some kind of crazy outfits. They were scary. And Renard happens to walk out of the dorm room into the hallway, sees these 2 girls, and just starts screaming, and they literally chase him out of the dorm, right? So, we decided to come up with a little scheme there where we do a little recording, like if he was afraid of ghosts or something. So we get a recording. I forget whose voice we used, but it was like, Renard, Renard, get up, get up. And we play it in the middle of the night, but the thing don't start for a half hour. So all our roommates, with 4 guys in the dorm, we're all together on it. We're sleeping, acting like we're asleep. Renard's there, the tape's talking to him. He goes, hey, what is that? And we're like, what are you talking about, Renard? We're trying to sleep, man, shut up. No, you don't hear that? No. Somehow that tape ends right as the RA is knocking on the door. And now he's trying to convince the RA, so he's in the dorm talking to him, and that guy's like, what are you talking about? I think we took a couple days and then explained it to him. But all that aside, and the little tape did kind of go into his, his baseball exploits and his career, but playing pro ball. But despite the fact those, girls chased him out of that dorm, he went on to a stellar career in law enforcement in Texas. He ended up as a sergeant in the narcotics bureau there for 20 years. Then he went on to be a captain at the school district police, which we all know how important that is nowadays. And he still works there part-time. But he did one thing, and I should probably explain one other thing. Renard left his junior year and was drafted. And let's just say he left a few credits short of graduation. I'll leave it at that. But the one thing that he did that probably is one of the things that you have to say, I think him and his family are most proud of, is he came back here 30 years later, and he graduated. And I think one of the reasons he did it, he confided in me, was that he always had a real love for coaching. And one of the regrets he had that he didn't have his degree so he could start coaching sooner. So once he did that, now he teaches criminal justice at a high school outside of Houston where he lives. And he's also the head baseball coach there. And he's now mentoring young guys and teaching students in school what real law enforcement should be like. And he's a great example for that. So, he kind of went full circle, because here's a guy that, we joke with a little thing with a ghost, but he has a heart of gold. He's done great things with his life. And not only that, but I think he's made his entire family proud. The guys that will tell you that are here from the team is probably one of the most humble people you're ever going to meet. Give me a second. I told him I'd try to get through this part. His wife was probably, I know she was very proud of him when he graduated. And he got the news that he was going to be inducted while she was in the hospital. And she died a few months ago. Cancer. But his daughter was going to be here to give this speech, and she got stuck in Charlotte, wasn't able to make it. But I like to think that his family's still seeing it today. His wife is, able to see him give his acceptance speech. He's very deserving, and if you all get a chance to know him, you're never going to meet a finer human being. Thank you.